Have you ever heard the one about the two guys who went hunting and ended up in a bar? Well, buckle up because this tale is as wild as a buck in rutting season. So there's these two good old boys, Billy Bob and Joe Dan, both as keen as mustard to bag themselves a 10-pointer. They pack up their gear, don their camo, and head to the woods. But here's the twist. Our intrepid hunters get turned around quicker than a possum on a hot tin roof. Lost as last year's Easter eggs, they stumble upon a sight more beautiful than a sunrise over the Smokies, a rustic backwoods bar. And wouldn't you know it, the beer inside was colder than a well-digger's backside in January. So they traded their rifles for rounds, their deer stands for bar stools. They swapped the thrill of the hunt for the thrill of a cold one. And that, my friends, is what we call a successful hunting trip. Now, if you think hunting is all about chasing wild animals, then you're in for a surprise. You see, for many a man, hunting is less about the pursuit and more about the escape. Picture this. A man, decked out in camouflage, perched up in a deer stand. But instead of a rifle in his hands, there's a cold beer. And instead of alert eyes scanning the surroundings, there are drooping eyelids and a gentle snore. Oh, and let's not forget about the burping and scratching. It's like a symphony of manliness echoing through the woods. Then there's the inevitable getting lost. Yes, even with a GPS and a smartphone, some fellas manage to lose their way, turning a simple hunting trip into an impromptu adventure. So remember, if you ever see a man in camouflage staring helplessly at his phone, then wincing into the sky, he's probably lost. Now, let's talk about what really happens around those campfires. You see, when the sun goes down and our bellies are full of beans and beer, that's when the Campfire Chronicles begin, and oh boy, the tales that are spun could make a fish blush. Take old Billy, for instance. One night, under the glow of the fire, he told us about the time he wrestled a bear. Yep, you heard that right, a bear. According to Billy, he was out scouting for deer when he stumbled upon a full-grown grizzly. Now, instead of doing what any sane human being would do, Billy decided to square up to this bear. He said he looked that bear straight in the eyes, flexed his muscles, and said, "All right, bear, it's just you and me." And then, would you believe it? He claims he fought that bear with his bare hands. He had us all in stitches, imagining him in a wrestling match with a bear, throwing punches left and right, dodging swipes, and grappling with it in the mud. But here's the kicker. The next morning we found out the bear Billy fought was actually a raccoon, a small, terrified raccoon that Billy had mistaken for a bear in his beer goggles. We laughed so hard we nearly choked on our breakfast. Then there was the time when Paul claimed he'd discovered Bigfoot. He said he'd followed a trail of oversized footprints in the snow, only to find out they were his own footprints leading back to the camp. We still give him flack for that one. That's the thing about these campfire tales. They're as tall as the trees and as wide as the river, but they sure do make for a good laugh. And isn't that what hunting trips are all about? The camaraderie, the storytelling, the laughter. So the next time you hear a man bragging about his hunting exploits, remember, it's not about the deer, it's about the beer. Isn't it beautiful?